Welcome back to Breaking Black Podcast. You are here with your host, Tina G, and my beautiful co-host, Janine Hartmann. Today, we're going to be talking about outgrowing your circle.
But it is such a weird thing, outgrowing friendships.
It's like worse than a breakup. It's just not something that people talk about very often.
No.
I remember thinking like that would never happen.
Yeah.
That would never happen with me and my friends.
I think you feel a sense of obligation when you go from like high school to college to maintain high
For
school
sure.
relationships,
Yeah.
and then college to real life. You can just grow on different pages, and that's totally fine. People can be a part of a chapter of your life and just be that.
And it's amazing when it does work out.
I'm sure many of you can relate to what it's like when you start your journey, whether you're on a healing journey, an elevation journey, or you're just finding yourself in a different space in your life. And sometimes the circles that you're around don't always support that. Janine, have you ever been in a position where you feel like you're beginning to outgrow the environment that you're in or the circle that you're in?
Absolutely, I have. And it's always happening when I feel like I'm not being protected by my friends, or it's like to a point where there's no return. And I will admit, like, there'll be times like nobody's perfect. I have done things, people have done things to me. I feel like now I'm in a state where I'm like more mature, and like I can express my feelings and my emotions about how things happen. But I also know how I am. Like, once certain things are done, for me, it's like the lights are on. Like, I see everything. And a lot of times when things like that are done, I remember, there was a time when this happened to me, and I kind of brushed it under the rug. Or there's another time when this didn't happen. So literally, if there's people that I don't talk to right now, it's because I noticed something even back then, where I was like, this might not be a compatible friendship. Or sometimes there's certain friendships that never have been friendships. It should have been left at associates. But there'll be times where I don't have anybody to hang out with. Let me go reach out, and that was like on me. Like there's certain rooms that you should not go into, but you go into it out of boredom or because of loneliness. And it's just like, you know what? I have to exit. I have to exit stage right. Like, God bless you, your endeavors, but I'm good. So I agree. Like, there'll be times where like I had to be like pieces. I really did, and I don't regret it. I'm so much happier. I feel safe, and a lot of times it's like when you're planning or you're going to an event, like you really see who's there for you. Like if you go to a party to celebrate you, and you see like somebody starts arguing, or if there is somebody arguing about the bill, or if you're trying to travel with somebody, you really see it then. Because, as friends, like, you hanging out, like, everything is good. But when it comes to, like, traveling, or when it comes to, like, celebrating you or celebrating another person, or when somebody's going through a big transition, you get to see another side, or maybe you get to see the truth. So that's one thing I'm like, I've definitely cut people off. And I'm not going to lie, I've been cut off, too. I'll admit my faults. I have some faults, but at least I could say I am working on them. And I've noticed I'm getting a better person and tightening my relationship with the people that I have stayed with. Like, I have some friendships. Like, what about you, T? Like, you had to cut somebody off. You look at your face. I know you definitely did.
I did. I mean, and you touched on it when you said that there are some times when you realize that, maybe you shouldn't have been friends with certain people, or shouldn't have had certain people in your circles. Like, I have a lot of like long-standing friendships. Majority of the friends that I have, we've been friends for a really, really long time. But yes, I experienced a betrayal from a friend that I had been friends with for almost 18 years. And that was really, really difficult for me, because this was like a person that I really like trusted and loved, so that was like a very life-changing kind of thing. And then there were times in my life that I had like a lot of struggles. I had a lot of struggles with various different things. Like I had struggles growing up. I was bullied a lot when I was growing up. I had trouble fitting in a lot because I'm a very like introverted person, and I'm not as like much of a social butterfly as like other people might be. And, you know, so I kind of had to find my space. And I feel like during that time, there were a lot of people that I invited into my life that, you know, once I began to kind of heal and elevate, I really felt like they weren't there to truly champion my growth or my development. You know, and even as I flourished, like as an artist and like branching out and becoming an entrepreneur and things of that nature, like it was a lot of people around me that I lent my support to fully and completely, that, you know, I kind of was surprised that like that mutual support and that mutual, you know, happiness wasn't there during certain times. And so a lot of times I made decisions to move forward. You can maintain friendships with people and, you know, maybe the friendship just changes. But as I've gotten older, I've come to just realize that like a true friend is going to support the things that are making you feel more fulfilled, more purposeful, more peaceful, and more joy-filled, right? They're going to celebrate and support the things that make you happy. They're going to champion your wins. And I've always kind of been the type of person that I feel like I try to support the people that are around me. So it was interesting to experience what it was like to maybe not see that same thing reciprocated back to me. So I think I've just gotten to a space where I feel like it's okay to outgrow your circle. You know, if it's not advantageous and it isn't something that's holding you up and it doesn't make you feel good or feel good about yourself, I don't necessarily think it's a place where, you know, that you should sustain. At the end of the day, you want your friends and you want your circle to be around you, who are going to motivate you and inspire you, and, you know, who are going to love you and celebrate you. And I feel like I was always a person that tried to give that to people. So it was only natural that I would expect that, you know, those same things would be reciprocated. But I will say that there were times in my life where I needed to grow and I needed to develop. And much like you said, there are people that I needed to make amends with. There are friends that, you know, that I needed to apologize to, and, you know, maybe things that I needed to think about, you know, in terms of how I operated or how I responded, right? I think a lot of times, you know, there's a lot of healing and a lot of, you know, cathartic experiences in just looking back at some of those things and being able to like push through them and be resilient.
This is a hard truth, but healing will make you incompatible with a lot of people.
Now this is actual facts. When I started my healing journey, like 2-3 years ago, I started losing so many people that were around me, friends and family. And let me tell you why. I started losing these people because I was on a journey of healing myself. And through that, I was finding my true self. And what I tend to realize now is that I just became incompatible with them. And that was okay.
I definitely think once you get to the point where you start doing introspection and self-reflecting and growing as a person, you need people that are going to nurture and sustain, you know, who that person is or who you are becoming. Have you ever, you know, experienced like, you know, maybe having like a betrayal in a friendship, or maybe even a lack of support from somebody that you've lent your support to in the past?
Yes, I have. Especially if that relationship has been a little off on, or you're noticing changes, because people do change. You know, but with that one particular person, like, I have to remember. And I think it was because I was dragging my feet on a dressing. And then because I was dragging my feet, it basically stayed like a stain, because I wasn't cleaning it up. It was just like building, getting worse. And she's like, you know what, I have to address it. And I remember after when I got home, I addressed it, and I got that person. And that was like the best decision I ever did. You know, there will be times where I've known a person for so long, and when we first met, like, it's funny how it may be like that person is more positive, and I'm just like going through my funk, and then all of a sudden it switches. So like they're going through their funk and I'm more positive. But it's like, instead of like trying to come out their funk, they're still staying there. That's when it's just like, you know what, this is the best place for me. Or I will say there'll be times where I restrained from friendships with some people because it reminded me of a past situation where it didn't go well with that type of personality. Where I was like, you know what? Let me. Okay. Okay, girl. All right. I'll see you, sir. Okay. Only because I read this book before. I've read this book before. And friendships can really, you have to be careful because when you're like, God forbid, like I saw two friends really go at it social media wise and just dredging up each other's past and trying to embarrass and shame them and like making like, you know, writing like they take a picture of you team and write the most hurtful words on picture. It was just like, oh my gosh, like you guys just hanging out. And then after that, you guys may have a kiki, you guys are all together again. Like those type of friendships, like I'm like, oh, like I can't be around that. Like you just aired out all my business and now we're friends again. Like I was like, you know, I have to protect my faith. And then on top of that, I also feel like we're in the industry. So, you know, regardless, see, like you get it. Our faces are out there, our voices are out there. And we need to be careful. Like it doesn't matter if you're like Beyonce, but regardless if you're in the industry, like you need to be careful what's out there. And a lot of times be careful of who you tell certain people business about yourself for. There'll be times that people like share your information on your text and like post like, oh, she doesn't like so and so, but she works with so and so now. There's like a fight and like it just spreads out online. It's not just like I have a regular day job, but I have an industry job, so like I finish my work and Google me, and that will pop up. You know, I have to be careful as well. So it's just like sometimes, like for my peace, I just like, you know what? Unless it's a friendship that I want to fight for, where I'm like, I recognize my faults, you recognize your own faults. Yes, it hurts. Let's take our time. Because there are times where I've had that, where we took our time and we actually got back to a stronger place than we were before. And a lot of times it takes growth. And I also feel like it's when you're younger, you don't really know how to communicate your feelings. You know, you're kind of focused on not sounding bad or looking a certain way, but it's actually important where you just say what you gotta say. And you know, you don't mean any negative thing by it. You're just telling your truth. And if people can accept that, that's great. And if people can't, well, then you know what? I don't think this is the best. Like, I'm not saying let's stop being friends. I was just like, you know what? And sometimes you don't have to have that talk. It's like that understanding. Like, this ain't gonna work like every day. But if I see you on the street, it's all love. It's all love. So I just say, yeah, make the best of it because listen, you got your life. You got your livelihood, you got your family, your friends, kids, spouse. Like, you don't want one relationship to really drudge you down, especially in an artist space where I have to use my emotions. And I remember there was actually a time where I was upset about this one particular relationship I had, and it was getting in the way of like my artistic ability because I was so mad after what had transpired early in the day, and like I kept that when I'm supposed to act, and it's just like, no, I have to release it because I'm portraying this person, and this person is not gonna, you know, she's not worried about that right now. So it's just like, as an artist, you gotta be like, you know what, let me address it, and then once I know I addressed it, it just, has there ever been a time where it, like, if there was an incident with like somebody else where it was looking like it was going to interrupt like something with like job wise, like artistry wise?
So I haven't really had like a lot of artist friction, but I would say that there were times when maybe other people, you know, wanted to prioritize something and I was obligated somewhere else, and I like didn't really at the time know how to say no. So I like relegated myself to different things. And then, you know, I would get overwhelmed because the expectation was so high. And I would sometimes feel like, you know, maybe I didn't have the bandwidth to do all of that. And one of the things I've noticed as an artist too is like, sometimes when you really want to work, there might be projects that are like not really good for you. for various different reasons. There was a time when like I really loved being on set and loved working, still do, but like I would like go out for projects because I was a lot newer and I didn't know a lot about the projects, didn't know a lot about the filmmakers, and I would want to be, you know, in projects. And then a lot of times I would come to see that like maybe that project wasn't suited for me for various different reasons, whether the filmmaking process wasn't something that I was comfortable with, or it was a role that, you know, I don't think best suits or speaks to the type of person or character that I have, you know. It's so I look back at that and I'm like, those are moments where I don't regret it because they're a learning experience, and you learn in everything that you do, right? Even in trial and error. But I would definitely say I'm a lot more cautious with like not doing some of the things that I'm not comfortable with, or where I feel like, you know, it wouldn't represent, you know, my brand or the type of person that I am. And I'm sure other people experience this in all kinds of professions. Do you ever see times where you've like outgrown like certain aspect of like your own artistry, where you're moving from one space into like another form of artistry or creativity?
Yes, I definitely have. When I started out dancing, I started dancing more so. I did like ballet and tap when I was younger, but when I got older, I didn't want like hip hop and dance floor. So I was like in the club, like I would get like, I mean in the clubs, like I meant like it was like those type of vibes on the thing. Recently I got into like a different like alternative type of style that was different for me, but I still loved it. And I was like, you know what? It's not like I outgrew my past. More so, I felt like I had to stay in that path because it was expected of me to stay in that type of dance world when there's so many lanes that I can travel or I can even try out. And then it's just like, you know what? It's okay for you to try. Like, and even when I really included where I would invite like some people that I knew, and like some of them came, and then others like didn't. But then when they found out, like when I showed them what like they missed, they were like, "Oh, I thought it was gonna be like something similar to you in the past." And they was like, "Oh, I like this." Like, and I was just like, "Oh, I'm thinking, you know what? Maybe I should always like shake things up." It's like that's why I love artists that try different things, and it's just like sometimes you kind of forget, like you know, get a little comfortable, you stay in your lane, but it's like it's okay to try new avenues, new things, new styles, new types of avenues when it comes to artistry. Like you don't have to go to the same part. Like I remember I was taking like just 1 or 2, 3 classes, but then now I'm in like a 6-week course, like an acting course, so it was like different. I was like, oh, let me like, I want to try this out. I want to train up my technique. Because you know, you gotta always listen. It's like as a gym. Like if you don't keep working out and using those muscles, you're gonna lose it. So it's just going into the class and it's just like, oh, let me try things different this way, and it's okay to try things different ways. You know what I mean? So that's how it is. Like that's how it is. Like with me, that's how like I'm pushing in that avenue of trying something new. Like, have you ever like been in that space where you tried something completely new that you were surprised that you even like oh wow, it was actually really good?
Yeah, I feel like I'm always like trying new things. It's funny because I feel like that's the only way to figure out like what you really like, what you really love. So I'm not afraid of like trying different things. Like, and even I'm not even like, and even being okay with like it not working out, or being okay with it like not being fit for you. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like that's the only way you're gonna know. Like when you go through life, you explore different things, you try different things, and it's like some things are gonna work great for you and some things aren't. I was watching Joyce Meyer, and I love like watching her. I listen to sermons a lot, so she's one of the people that I watch just based on her story. She has like an incredible story, and how she overcame so many things in her past. But she talked about like trying out different professions before she became a pastor. And basically she was like, you know, you'll know by basically process of elimination when you're trying things, like they're either going to work or they're not going to work. And she's like, you'll know where you fit when you figure out, like, based on these things either failing or, you know, you having success in these areas. And I remember watching that and I like laughed when she said that, because I was like, that's a great point. Like, as you're trying different things, you know, you're either going to be good at it or you're not. You're either going to love it or you're not. And I feel like that's how you come to know, really. And I think it's okay in doing that. So yeah, I'll try almost anything at least like once. Admittedly, I will. And I might abandon things quickly, but I'll try. But I'll try something.
Not abandon.
I've been known to abandon some things. But yeah, like, I mean, why not, right? You only get one life. You've got one life to live. You might as well explore it and live it to the fullest. At least that's my motto. Well, we want to thank you for tuning in to this episode of Breaking Black Podcast. Stay tuned for more. You can like and subscribe on all social media. We are currently on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter. And please make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel, Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Patreon, and Pandora. We will see you next time. Stay tuned.